Ginger or Marianne? That is the question. A long time ago, in a land, well, really kind of right here, there was a show on TV called Gilligan's Island. Now, if you're around my age, you've seen Gilligan's Island. People my age we can reference childhood TV shows because there were really three television channels plus PBS. We all watched the same shows. Today, it's so funny because a conversation will start with, have you seen the show? Well, we barely had to do that back in the day. There weren't a lot of choices. Everybody had seen it. Gilligan's Island was the story about this group of people who set off on what was supposed to be a 3-hour tour on a little boat called the Minnow, and they ended up in a storm of some sort, and they ended up stranded on this small island that was uncharted, somewhere in the middle of the Pacific, and they were abandoned there. There were 7 people that were on the boat. There was the skipper, who's the captain of the boat, and he's sort of this big jolly guy, but also has a temper. There's Gilligan, who's the first mate, and he's kind of the one who's boyish and kind of innocent, but is always trying to help, always getting into trouble. Just nothing ever goes really right for Gilligan, but everybody loves him. There's also Mr. Thurston Howell the Third, I think was his name, Thurston Howell the Third, and he was very wealthy. He's this very wealthy man on the boat with his wife, Lovey Howell. And then there was the professor, who is the one who is always, he's sort of the voice of reason sometimes. He's the one kind of observing things, and he's constantly trying to use his science knowledge to help get them off the island. Also, there are Ginger and Marianne. And Ginger is a movie star who gets by really on her beauty. Her thing is her beauty, and her sexuality is very overt, but there's also an innocence to Ginger, and she's not the brightest thing. And then there's Marianne, and Marianne is also a beautiful young woman who is a farmer's daughter and who's more practical. She's more pragmatic than Ginger is. She can be the voice of reason between the two of them. So that's the cast. And so what happens is, a lot of times men will say to other men, like, Ginger or Marianne, meaning, do you like Ginger or Marianne better? Which is your type? And these characters are not fully rounded characters. They are archetypes. And the whole show was silly. It was just a romp. It was a lot of fun. But people ask that question a lot. So men will ask each other, and they're sort of asking, what do you prefer? And I've even been asked that. Are you Ginger or Marianne? My answer is, I think, pretty obvious. I am the professor. So here's the thing. When, I am the one who's going to try to get us off this island. Like, I'm just going to look around, and I'm going to use my knowledge and stay focused on getting off this island and seeing how to do that. I'm not really Ginger or Marianne. So these are archetypes. And the reason that I bring this up to you is that any one of these types could have been cast as female or male. The fact that they're cast as female or male was just the choice of the director. So there's a lot of interesting things to look at when somebody asks Ginger or Marianne. So first of all, they completely, if you're breaking it down by gender, they're completely ignoring Lovey Thurston. They didn't mention her. Why? Because she's too old, or what is it about her that she's not even in the picture? But they break everything down by male and female, and you don't necessarily have to identify with one of these characters based on the fact that they're a male or a female. It doesn't necessarily make any sense. So there are 2 points here. One is, when somebody asks you a question and they've narrowed it down for you to this or that, feel free to kind of look up, look around, look at the big picture, maybe walk around it, look at it another way, and understand that even though they've narrowed it down for you, your answer may not be there. And you can step back, and you can literally think about it. I've been asked this question, step back. Is there anything else around me that I want to consider before answering this question that might be the answer? But the other thing about this, we talk a lot about masculine and feminine and gender on this channel, and the fact that you have these very interesting, well, you know, these sort of wacky archetypal characters, and when you're asked to identify yourself, you're already split between male and female, is kind of ridiculous. We get lost. We get focused on, when we look at each other, what we're looking at is our bodies, and we get focused on identifying and separating people based on their physical attributes. And what's really important about people is our minds. Who we are has a lot more to do with our mind than it has to do with our bodies. Who you are has a lot more to do with something more intangible, with your mind and who you are inside. And so we're always trying to categorize each other and make sure we fit into a certain box. This is why, you know, for a long time, it was illegal to marry somebody of another race, where it doesn't really have anything to do with anything. That's two minds coming together. A lot of times I think the reason that we're in the past and even now concerned about two gay people, two people of the same sex coming together, and that's not right in our minds. We go, nope, male and female, that's not right, is we're getting lost in the physical and the body. And we even think that it's about sex when actually it's about love. It's about two minds coming together. They're trying to put you in a box, and they've defined the two boxes. It's this box or that box. And you may not fit in either of those boxes at all. The way to look at this in your whole life is that people often ask you questions because they're trying to get comfortable with you and sort you and get you in the right box. You will even do it to yourself sometimes. Am I left-brained or right-brained? Yeah, you are. You're left-brained and right-brained. I mean, you're not... when people walk around saying, I'm left-brained, I'm not creative, you're human. You are creative. When you're designing your life, or whenever anybody asks you something, think about, are they trying to put me in a box? Do I go in that box? Do I not? Is the answer something totally different? This happens to me a lot with my jewelry design. You know, I'll go somewhere and people will say, so do you design men's jewelry or women's jewelry? Yes, I do. I design, it's for anybody. And then, you know, they'll want me, I'll go into a store, I'll go into a store and a trunk show or a trade show, and they want me to separate the men's jewelry and the women's jewelry, and I won't do that. That's not how my life works. It's not how my jewelry works. Each piece is for a man or a woman. So I'm not going to let you put me or my jewelry in that box, and I'm going to help you expand your mind. And it's funny how I'll take a necklace and I'll put it on a woman and then put it on a man, and they go, you know, you can see the light bulb going off. Like, huh, yeah, wow, they do. They both have necks. I mean, you know, don't let people do this to you, and don't do it to yourself either. So I hope you enjoyed this video exploring Ginger and Marianne. I upload videos every week, and I invite you to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.